All right, we are back, everyone. It's been a while. A lot of stuff has happened over the past few weeks, but the podcast is back. Looking a little bit different personnel-wise. Unfortunately, the great man Harry Vella has actually left the Brumbies. He's moved back to Queensland to be with his family and to recover with his knee injury. So unfortunately, he's a huge loss to the club and we wish him all the best for the future, but he's going to be starting his new chapter and we hope to see him in the future. But for now, I would like to introduce our new co-host, and it's the man behind the camera usually, and that's Connor. Welcome, Connor.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how's it feel to be in front of the camera rather than behind it?
It feels a little bit weird. It is a bit interesting to be in front of it for the first time, but mate, looking forward to it. I'm glad that after all the people on the team that you asked, that you finally came to me to do this with you. Yeah, I think it was more about reliability versus personality. So no, I'm kidding. You're a good guy. This is going to be fun. So. Moving forward, we don't have a name yet for the podcast moving forward because it was between two props. Obviously, Connor's not a prop, as you can tell physically. I'm 85 kilos and I do not, if you're listening to this on Spotify, I do not look like a prop.
Yeah.
I'd get smoked by Schoupp in the field of play. Yeah,
so we have to change the name. We've got a few ideas, but we'll get back to you on that. Today is a little bit different, right? So I'm going to introduce the guests in a minute, but moving forward, it's just going to be me and Connor. We're going to keep the same content rolling. We're going to get some good stories together, and we're just going to keep it rolling. All right. So I appreciate everyone's patience and all the requests about where's the podcast and all this stuff. But we're back.
We get thousands. Yeah. We get thousands of requests from people all over the globe. Yep. You know, if they're in the United States, even in Kenya, some of the people that are listening to us, and they're just asking, "Hey, mate, where's the podcast?" A lot of the questions around here in Canberra and in this building. So we're back, mate. We're back, and mate, I'm looking forward to today.
Well said. Could not have said it better myself. Okay, so to today. Special guest, pretty close to home for me. I know this guy pretty well. We grew up together. Actually grew up in the same house together. We are related. It's my younger brother, Aaron. He's been down with us the last couple of days. So he's here to have a conversation with us and, experience what it's like to be a part of the Brumbies. So welcome, Aaron.
Woo! Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Mate, how you feel? How's it been the last couple of days?
It's been good. It's been refreshing. Been in a new environment, and it's been nice. Obviously, hanging out with you. Don't get to see you that much anymore. So,
what is it like to be training here with your older brother?
It was kind of hard trying to keep up with him in the weights, but
oh really?
It's been good.
Now, because I've come downstairs a few times here at Brumby HQ, and Schoupp does maybe 1 or 2 lifts, and then that's him done. And all I hear is a bit of Ronnie Coleman, like, "Yeah, baby."
He was actually walking around today with his own face on his shirt. So
no, that was a present from rehab coach Henry. We'll talk about that later. Don't worry about it.
Oh, so how's things in sort of NRL land? I mean, for anyone who's not listening, you're part of the Manly Sea Eagles. You've played for a couple of different clubs, the Titans before that, and then the Bulldogs. Sort of give us like a brief rundown of your career so far to date. For anyone that doesn't really know about, your career in the NRL and how you managed, to go from, to league into NRL.
So obviously played all my junior footy down in Wollongong, down at Illawarra with the Steelers and the Dragon system. And when I was 18, I signed with the Bulldogs and moved up to Sydney out of home. And I loved my time at the Bulldogs. It was really enjoyable. Everything sort of progressed pretty quick from there. I think I was 18 or turning 19 when I made my debut for the Bulldogs, and played a couple of seasons there, and I went away on a holiday with my wife now, as I missed at the time, and got back, and the Bulldogs were looking in a bit of a different direction, and I signed with the Titans and went up there, and it was Gold Coast was different for me. Like everyone probably thinks it's the best place to go to and play footy, but I probably struggled with it a little bit. I was pretty lucky I had my wife there, and we had our son up there, so it's bittersweet how we went up there. And although the footy wasn't great for me, I created a little family, and we eventually got the opportunity to come back home and come down to Sydney. Now I'm at Manly and loved it ever since.
I guess going back slightly to being like an 18, 19-year-old and debuting in the NRL. I don't know too much about NRL and rugby league in general, but is that quite young for a 19-year-old to be debuting in the NRL? Because isn't there usually like a 20s or 21s program before you make it into the NRL?
Yeah, well, it was quite young. Yeah, I actually only played one game of 20s and I was 17 at the time. I was still down at the Dragons and I played it. And it was funny because when I sort of come into grade, that's when COVID sort of happened. So the 20s comp got shut off the year I probably would have played it. And then, yeah, just rolled around into pre-season, and the plan was to play 20s, but I ended up playing New South Wales Cup straight away, and I think I played about 8 games of that, and then I was into NRL. So it all sort of just happened really quickly for me.
And how did that feel for you to go, in that quick time period, to go from 20s straight into first grade? Like, that must have been a huge step for you and a huge step mentally to go from I'd say obviously a B or C grade to the best of the comp.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I probably was just on adrenaline the whole time and didn't really get to sit down and process it properly. But yeah, I loved it. I had good people around me. I was living in a house with 8 boys at the time, like in a footy house at the Bulldogs, and yeah, it was just. I don't know. I just enjoyed every minute of it, and it was enjoyable. My first season, it moved up to the Gold Coast, so we all lived in the Goldie and the bubble up there. And, yeah, I was just on cloud 9 the whole time, just like living in a hotel with my whole team and playing footy. Yeah, it was fun.
And how's it been with Manly? You signed with Manly 24? 2024?
I signed, midway through 24, yeah.
Yeah. And how's that been for you so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been challenging, but I think there's probably no place I'd rather be with the people there at the moment. And, I've got a good relationship with my coach, Anthony Seibold, and he backs me as a player and person, and I've sort of been injured since I got there, which has been tough. Like, I played 2 games there and then had a shoulder reconstruction, and then that took a while to get back into first grade because we've got so many good players at our club, and I sort of just finally got that spot for myself, and then I tore my ACL in the last game of this year.
I guess we'll sort of touch on the injury front, because both of you guys are injured at the moment, and it sort of brings it all together by these last couple of days that you guys have been training together while you're both in rehab. I guess it's a question for both of you guys. How has it been to have both of you guys in the same gym and dealing with some injury struggles?
Yeah, I think, any opportunity you get to involve family in what you do, especially as a rugby player, is special. So the opportunity to come down and train together, we had to jump at it, I guess, because, when you get injured, you sort of think, the world's coming down or the world's crashing down on you or whatever, but you got to try and make the most of it. And I guess the opportunity to bring Aaron down and train with me, because we're both in rehab, is one that, not many people get that opportunity to do that. So I think it's been good because we bounce ideas off each other and he gets to see how I train, and it's obviously a bit different to league, but I think even just coming in and seeing the boys, seeing the staff, how everyone operates, it's just good to get a different perspective, being from a league background. Obviously we operate very similarly, but yeah, I don't know, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no. Well, it's like when you get injured, the closest people around you lean on for support, and obviously we don't live close anymore. Like I'm in Sydney, he's in Canberra, so like the opportunity to come down and train with him, and I've sort of just started my rehab journey and he's sort of just getting out of it, so it's been probably enjoyable for him, and then a good way for me to start my rehab, and yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about your injury. It was you'd done your ACL, correct? Last game of the season.
Yeah.
How was that for you, I guess, mentally, to get to the end of the season? You've had a couple of injury issues which you've already touched on, but to do that must have been a real sort of kick in the guts for you at that time.
Yeah, it was. It's actually, I was on the phone to Blake on the way to the game, and I was saying, like, it's been a good year. Like, I've got what I wanted out of it. I've got back into grade, and I haven't been injured too much, and the only thing I had a fractured jaw at the start of the year, and that got over that pretty quick. And I was talking to Blake about how happy I am going into the last game, and things were looking good for me next year. I was about to re-sign with the club, and as soon as I went down, I knew, and I was just devastated. There's just plenty of things running through my head. Obviously, I've got a family, I've got a little boy and wife, and straight away I sort of just thought about them, and if I did have a contract for next year, because like I said, I was unsigned, and all those sort of things. It wasn't as much as the injury, it was more of the people it was going to affect around me. But in saying that, like the club, they looked after me, they've given me another year to prove myself, and the love they showed for my family throughout what happened over the last couple of weeks it's been really good.
Yeah, because that can be really tough on your loved ones and your family. That you're bringing in the food, I guess, and that type of injury happens. That's setting you back until June, July. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you're going to be missing half of 2/3 of next season.
Yeah, I think I just take it and look at it as an opportunity to spend more time with my family and get to hang out with my son. Obviously, he's 2 next month, and be around my wife a bit more, and just really enjoy quality time and get to do things like this, which I probably wouldn't have got to do if it didn't happen. And so I'll just look on what I can do, not what I can't do.
Did you lean on the big man for advice in terms of going through those early stages of the injury?
It's funny. It's every time I'm in rehab, he's in rehab too, or if he's in rehab, I'm in rehab. He done his shoulder, 3 weeks later I done mine, and then he done his Achilles, done my ACL. But well, just on a day-to-day basis, so we talk every day on the way home from training. I'll ring him or in the morning and sort of debrief our day and things that we're trying to achieve and just general stuff every day. So he's been massive for me, just lean on blokes all the time.
Yeah, that's cool though. It's cool that you guys are elite professionals in your chosen codes, and obviously you're very close brothers. What was it like with both of you guys growing up? Did you both know that you wanted to be, Blake wanted to be in union or you wanted to be in league? Did you guys know from an early age or no?
Yeah, well, when we were younger, we had a very rugby union heavy family. Dad was a player and a coach, and early memories of he was coaching our local team, the Woonona Shamrocks, and we would all go down to the games, wear the kit, and run around with all the kids and stuff. So it was more union focused when we were younger, just because that's what Dad, exposed us to. But then as we got older, you obviously play soccer, I think we played baseball and stuff like that as well when we were younger. But as you get older, you sort of realise, what else is out there. And so we both played league and union at the same time. And then as I got older, I just sort of veered off towards the rugby pathway, towards the tail end of school, and he was the same with league. Obviously the league pathway where we're from in Wollongong is pretty good through that Dragon system. And for me, I got the opportunity to go to Nudgee College through playing, just local representative footy. I think it just happened naturally, eh?
Yeah, well, growing up, it was all rugby union, like a whole family. Pretty much lived out in the Shamrocks growing up, and like Blake said, we pretty much joined league just so we could play more football on the weekend. And I don't know, just as I got older, it sort of just like my path got forged for me. Like league, it just sort of seemed like everything was leading towards that, and I sort of just went with that for myself. And
do you think that's probably more of a game sort of thing? Is that league is the pathway's a lot more clearer, I guess, in Australia. I compare that with New Zealand. There's not really many league pathways unless you live in Auckland, but for union it is a lot clearer. So do you think that probably made you shift across to league and knowing that there's probably more of a pathway to where you want to go professionally?
Yeah, I think so when I was about 15, I just started to make the Harold Mats. I was a year young in Harold Mats, and we played a trial game, and after that trial game I got offered a little junior development contract with the Dragons, and it was sort of I signed this and I sort of give up rugby union. And I think once I just signed that, my first contract with league, I just put all my eggs in one basket and just went with that.
Yeah, do you think that's a huge influence for, because how old would you have been when that happened? Were you 15, 16?
I was 15.
Yeah. So you would think that being a 15, 16-year-old, that's like, and you're getting a talent scout or whatever saying, I signed this contract or whatever, that's probably a huge influence to why the sport is so big in Australia, is that they're getting those guys at a younger age to then, develop them, to then turn them into, the next whatever in rugby league.
Yeah, I think, when you play both, especially at a young age, they do conflict a bit. Like they conflict like with timings and when you want to go and play for different rep teams and stuff like that. So in terms of union, I think when you're younger, you sort of struggle to find an opportunity to play both. For the long term. So I think as you hit that sort of age around 16, 17, even 15 sometimes, you have to sort of choose. And it sort of just depends on, like, with us, it just happened, like I chose union, he chose league. So as a young guy, I would encourage everyone to try and play both as much as they could because, it helps in the long run.
And I would say that also probably like genetics probably plays a big part of it because, old big boy here, he's perfect for the front row and rugby union, probably not so much in league.
I don't know about that, maybe.
Because what are you in league? You centre?
I'm a centre that can play in the back row, yeah.
Right. So
I'm a prop that can play fly half.
So for someone like me, like what is it? Is that like 2, 3, 4 number wise?
For the centres, yeah. I'm 3 or 4 normally, yeah.
Right. And you got the pace, got the gas.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah.
Whereas Schoupp, he gives us like 35 minutes. Explosive 35 minutes, then he's
short and
walks off the field. Tell us more about like growing up, like parents, siblings. I don't really know too much about that. Tell us more about family life back from where you're from.
We grew up with mum and dad. We actually got an older brother, Ryan, and a little sister, Hayley, and life was good. I can't complain growing up in a loving home, and pretty much Dad, he did everything he could for us to try and make it, and that was all he ever wanted for us to be happy. And once we sort of said, all right, well, this is what we want to do, I think he did everything he can to get us here, and I don't know, can't complain much.
Yeah, family's huge, especially in our family because, mum and dad used to, go everywhere with us, like training, games and all that kind of stuff. And, for example, when I did my Achilles, Dad flew straight to Brisbane to make sure that was all good, flew me back home. Then I stayed with mum and dad for, the couple of weeks that I was unable to move on the scooter. But yeah, they did everything for us when we were younger growing up, and they still do that now because, they're just very proud of us. And I guess we're really lucky to have a family like that. I think without them, we obviously wouldn't be here.
Yeah, do you think that connectedness as a family has led into your professional game as well, and how you treat the team and the boys when you're sort of out in the field or when you're travelling and things like that? Because you are quite a socially connected person within the team. Like my first week here, I had to fly to Fiji for the first game, and like Schoupp was like the first person, one of the first, of the boys to come up to me and introduce himself and get to know me, and he's like, what do we call you? Like, what's your nickname? What all this, all that. And I wanted to know all these questions. I'm like, bro, I just got here. Like, I don't even know like anything. And so I got that straight away, and that's why I've had a really good connection with Schoupp. But seems like that comes from your family side of things.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know about you, but when we were younger, we, like every family, you fight. You punch on in the backyard a couple of times, but as you get older, you realise that you've got a lot in common and you actually get along really well. And I think that affects the relationships that you have with, your teammates and your friends as well. There was a few times there where we used to throw the remote control at each other or, fight on the trampoline or something like that. But then as you get older, we've definitely taken, that sort of camaraderie into our team environments, I think. What about you?
Yeah, like you said, I think growing up there's probably more fighting than more loving between me and Blake.
Yeah, who would win the fights?
Me.
I'll just punch him and run off him too quickly.
No.
But I think It wasn't until probably because I moved out of home quite young and Blake was still back with mum and dad, and it probably wasn't until he moved out of home when we started getting really close, and that connection sort of formed between us on a deeper level, and even to the point where we lived together for a little bit together, and I think it's pretty special, the connection that we've got as brothers and the way we can feed off each other. I think it's probably helped us grow as people, and probably better footballers for it too.
So you signed your first grade contract in 21 Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't. When did you get your first sort of professional contract?
Not until the end of 2022.
Yeah. So what was it like for you to see, like your younger brother sort of crack the big time, and you're sort of still waiting and biding your time for that right opportunity?
Yeah, well, obviously, first off, I was like super proud, and I think the whole way through when we were growing up, we knew that Aaron was going to play NRL. It was a matter of when, not if. And then I think when he went to the Bulldogs initially, that's what really, sort of sparked my, desire, you could say, to want to go to the next level, because I was just playing club rugby at Southern Districts for Shoot Shield and all that kind of stuff, and I was just happy, being a teacher and playing for Southern Districts.
Hey, were you a teacher?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What were you doing teaching? What were you teaching?
I was trained in PE, but I ended up teaching at a behavioural school in Sydney with like naughty, disadvantaged kids and stuff like that.
Wow, so you were Mr. Schoupp.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy, that's news to me.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good one, eh? That's a real good one.
Finding things out.
Mate, what was it like for you? What was it like? Like teaching? Yeah.
Man, I loved it. I always wanted to be a teacher when I was at school. Lucky enough to go to a really good school in Nudgee College, but I think I don't know what it was. Like when I was in high school, I just really, sort of saw that as something that I think I could do, and really enjoyed it up until I came down here.
So after rugby's done, coaching might be on the horizon.
Any private schools out there looking for a director of rugby in 10 years' time, maybe? Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. No. But no, sort of back to when he was coming up, I think, being, having that work-life balance between, having a stable job, playing footy, with my mates and having fun and all that kind of stuff, I was pretty content with that sort of lifestyle. And then seeing him make his debut, obviously, or training with doing pre-season with the Bulldogs with all these NRL players, it sort of sparked something in me a little bit to go, if he can do it, why can't I do it, And it sort of drove me to want to go to that next level. And I think that's truly where it started for me, because I was, like I said, content with the lifestyle that I had, because I was never, outstanding by any means when I was younger. You think you are when you're a bit younger, but I definitely wasn't. And I think that's what definitely started my sort of mindset change.
And did you ever sort of give him any advice, even though you were the younger brother of, when you finally cracked it in the sort of professional level, or trying to crack that next step?
Yeah, I think it was hard because obviously being the younger brother, you don't want to think you're the man and overstep, and obviously he's my older brother, but I knew he'd make it if he got the opportunity, and from his work ethic, he works hard, he's a good person. I just kept telling him to back himself and not worry about other people's opinions. I think that's probably what got you to the Brumbies to play for the Wallabies how you did. I think, just backing yourself and not being scared of other people's opinions, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. And
Yeah, I guess, this podcast is obviously around you, Aaron, but I do want to touch on, like, with you, Schouppy, just on that quick transition from Brumbies and then into Wallabies. Like, that must have been a huge step up for you, physically, but more mentally, in that transition, like we touched on before, when you going quickly from 20s to first grade in a short space of time. Like, how was that for you to crack Brumbies, and then you played World Cup, right? Played the World Cup, yeah. What was that like?
Yeah, I think it just feels like such a blur right now, because in my first year, I guess I had no expectations around anything. I just was happy to be involved in a program that's so well known, and had such a great history behind it, especially being a front rower. Like you look at the front rower players that have come through this club, and just to be here and get an opportunity to train, let alone play, and then, go, a step further. I mean, to me now it seems like a blur, but in the end it was just down to I had no expectations, and I think just kept doing what I'd been doing previously, which is just enjoying my footy. Like I said before, you play better footy when you're enjoying where you are and your life around that as well. And I think that's what got me to the Brumbies. But then also because it was such a exciting new thing, and I didn't put many expectations on myself. I think that's what allowed me to play some good footy and get to that level. And then obviously you learn along the way, and lessons like getting injured and all that kind of stuff, like we're going to talk about later, definitely affect that. But I'd say mentally it wasn't too challenging mentally because, like I said, I didn't have many expectations on myself. But reflecting on it, it was just like, mate, like, did that even happen kind of thing, Yeah,
it would have been a crazy 6 months for you. What was it like for you, Aaron, to see your brother, make it to the top of Australian rugby? That would have been a very proud moment for you and obviously the rest of the family.
Yeah, I think I was probably more proud of his achievements than my own, because I know how hard he's had to work to get there, and he went the long way about it, went the hard way, and nothing was just given. He earned everything. So, and then just to see him play, I was actually, because it's like the World Cup, it's like different times over there. I kept trying to wake up, and it was like 4 a.m. I think the game was on. My missus was laying on the couch and trying to stay awake to watch it. And once obviously we got to see him play, it was it's pretty special to see. Like if you set something out to achieve it, and you can do it. And I think it made me a bit more hungry to try and achieve a few more things as well. Yeah.
Let's go into obviously the injury side of things. You mentioned before that you've been plagued with different injuries over the last few years. How has that been for you mentally around having to push past that and to try and get better and to try and get back on the field, but also try and not get back on the field too fast, or else in the back of your head you're like, if I go out there too quickly, then I could be back another 6 months?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty hard. I've had a couple of shoulder surgeries and obviously now my knee, but probably just my son and my wife. I think obviously I've got my whole family, but leaning on them too, especially. Like I couldn't even shower myself a couple of weeks ago or go to the toilet properly or do anything like that. So just leaning on them has been massive for me, and trying to make them proud because they're probably my why now. And it's been sort of nice. My son runs around and grabs the ice pack and tells me he's got a sore knee now. So, but just stuff like that. I think trying to be patient's hard, and asking yourself why these things happen, but there's obviously a reason as to why. And even though I might not understand it, it's I look at it as I get to spend more time now with my family and work on myself.
Do you think in professional sport the biggest part of it that probably people don't see is that, or the biggest impact in professional sport is your support network, because they are the ones that will see you every single day when the cameras aren't on and you're out in the field and the coaches aren't around and the rest of the team isn't there. Do you think that they make the biggest impact, especially off the field?
Yeah, I think I can definitely see the difference within myself from before I had my partner and son to now. I think just being able to come home and switch off and be able to hang out with them. I think me and Blake talk about regularly trying to leave your stuff at work and the stuff that you do at work stays at work, and when you get home trying to switch off. I think having them it's a lot easier to do that. And like my wife's probably put up with a few of my own tantrums. When I'm having a bad day or if things haven't gone my way, that's specifically a game and stuff like that. But they just bring me down to earth and keep me grounded. Do
you think, this is probably a question for both of you in terms of your different codes, do you think talking about men's mental health is a should be spoken more often in both of your codes?
I think it's spoken about a fair bit, but it's sort of like people don't seem to do anything until it's too late. I think everyone wants to talk about it, but I don't think it's not too hard to check in on your mate or stuff like that. And I think, I think as men, don't be afraid to talk about your feelings. I think that's the biggest thing in the last year for me that I've found, is being able to talk about my feelings and unwind them. And it helps that I've got a brother that I can do that with. But yeah.
Some people don't have that same luxury of having a brother that's in, professional sport at least, or even having a partner or family close. So in terms of the Manly setup, do you guys connect often to not really talk about that stuff, but to just check on each other all the time? Are you a close-knit team, which is probably what I'm asking. Are you close enough to have those conversations sometimes?
Yeah, we've got a really good squad out at Manly, between older to younger boys, and it's going to sound funny to say they're the Islanders, and then we've got all the white boys. I think we all gel really well together, and I think our leaders are really good at checking in on the young boys, and I'm not too sure what the older boys do with each other, but I think if one of us is having a bad day, people can sort of notice and sort of go up to them and ask them what's wrong and if they need anything. Yeah.
What about you, Blake?
Yeah, I think you talked before about the whole men's mental health thing, and I think the biggest thing, especially with professional setups, is it's definitely present, but it just needs to be a little bit more organic. You know what I mean? Like, I think it needs to just come naturally, because when you try and force that kind of stuff, you don't get any value out of it. And I think we've got a great leader of that in Robin, our PDM, and I'm sure Manly have the same thing. But it's definitely present. It just needs to be a little bit more organic for boys to be able to feel like it's just part of the process, And I think at the Brumbies, we have such an outstanding group of leaders, guys like Alan, guys like Slips, guys like Ryan Lonigan, and those guys are, tight with everyone in the squad, and it just makes everything so much easier. And I'm sure Manly's the same. You look at the Trebojevic brothers, and that sort of filters down, and I'm sure the younger boys look to those guys for advice all the time, and they're probably the easiest guys from the outset looking in. They look like the easiest guys to talk to, and people like Cherry Evans as well. I don't know. So I think every club would be the same in that sort of sense.
Let's talk about NRL this season that's just been. Manly missed the top 8. Where'd you guys finish? 9th, 10th?
10th, I think, yeah.
10th.
We're 1 win out of 8.
Yeah. How was the feeling around the team during sort of the early part of the season? Because you guys were in the top 8 as far as I can remember for a little bit of it, and then it sort of just faded away at the end, I think. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You were in and out for...
We definitely underachieved for the squad that we had, and it was just hard because I think out of the top 4 teams, we beat 3 of them, and I don't know. I think I can't put my finger on what happened and what went wrong, but within that though, our squad was tight, and we all had a really good time together, whether we won or lost, and I think we just sort of showed in the back end of the year, like we won 4 out of our last 5 games, and probably just left it a little too late, but I don't know. I think that's the beauty about footy. You got next year to try and get some redemption about it, and we're going to have a bit of a different looking squad next year, which will be exciting, and I'm keen to see how the boys go in the first half of the year. Yeah.
So when do you guys start back up again?
All the young boys are back, I think not next week, the week after, and then there's another group of us that will come back on the 18th of November.
Oh wow! So and then the season really only finishes for about 6 weeks, and then you sort of back into it again.
Pretty much. I think there's a wave of 7 and 9 weeks, depending on how many seasons you've done, and it sounds like a lot of time off to people, but it goes pretty quick.
Yeah. And what are your sort of personal goals? Obviously, the team's goals we can assume would be to make top 8. Everyone wants to make top 8 or be in the top 4 or things like that. But what are your personal goals? What are you wanting to achieve next season when you come back eventually in that June, July period?
I I think I just want to come back and know that I've done the work to get back and not try and cheat it, go through it and really dive into that head first. And yeah, obviously the goal is to get back into NRL, but I think if I can just get through next year healthy and really enjoy my football when I get back at the back end of the year, that would be massive for me.
Do you write down or set a lot of sort of short-term goals for yourself? Like, you know, 6 weeks into your ACL, are you writing down things like that, or are you more of in general just want to do it right, put in the hard work, and then get back on the field?
In the past I have been, but I think with this sort of injury, after speaking to a fair few people, I don't want to set any expectations for it, because then if I don't achieve them, then it's just going to create disappointment. So yeah, I think I'm just going to let it take its natural path and just go with how it goes. And yeah.
What is the biggest lesson you've learned from this experience of this latest injury?
Probably just don't waste a moment in your career. I think you don't want to look back on it and be disappointed and thought you could have done more. And I think it's not a very long career, as everyone knows, and I just really want to enjoy it and yeah, work hard throughout it and hopefully create some good memories.
What about you, Blake? What's one lesson that you've learned from your injury since you've been out since April? April, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm lucky enough to share the rehab with my good mate, Nos Lonergan, and we had a really good conversation in the sauna about this exact topic. And he said to me, don't sweat the small stuff, you know? And I think that's something that's stuck with me since we've had that conversation, because, you know, when you get injured, you think, you know, the whole world's ending. But then you've experienced that injury, so then the smaller stuff shouldn't matter too much to you. Like, you know, if you're feeling a little bit flat or anything like that, you'll be able to get through it because you've been through bigger stuff like injuries or things like that. So I know personally from going from shoulder surgery last year to this Achilles, I've grown so much because I've already experienced that through the rehab process with my shoulder into the Achilles. And, you know, the small stuff didn't, you know, affect me as much as they did last year. So I think don't sweat the small stuff is a great thing. So shout out Nos for that piece of advice.
Good man, Nos Lonergan. We haven't really touched on your sort of injury and where you're at. You were in a moon boot for ages. We did a lot of good content of you being like Steve Larkham and, you know, wondering where all the boys were. And, mate, you're the social media king here at the Brumbies. By a week. Yeah, you were great. You were great. Now you're out in a moon boot, you've been walking around, training, you got one leg that's slightly a bit bigger than the other now.
Only slightly.
Yeah, only slightly. So where are you at currently and where are you going to be over the next sort of 6 weeks leading into Christmas?
Yeah, so I'm about 7 months post-op, which is, you know, the stage where I start to integrate into training, into team training. Like I've done all of my, you know, individual rehab processes like strength and testing and all that. So I've started contact, you know, hitting the pads with Big Chedsy Kale, you know, in the middle of still in my running block and starting to, you know, get the skills up again before we start training, preparing the boys for their Hong Kong trip next week. So looking to, you know, jump into some team training next week actually, and, you know, over the course of the next 4 to 6 weeks, transition into team training and be ready to go by, you know, sort of December, you know, and humming before next year.
And it's probably a question for both of you guys is, do you, when you first get back out on the pitch, is it in the back of your mind straight away or slightly that, you know, you might re-injure that body part again straight away? Is that ever in the back of your mind when you're running, like after your shoulder, when you first came back out after your shoulder? Was that in your mind at all when you ran back out? Because like me personally, or I think a lot of people that are fans or consume sport, that'd be one of the first things that I'd be thinking about is, shit, am I gonna pop my shoulder again? Am I gonna do my ACL? Am I gonna do my Achilles? All that sort of side of things? Or are you just so zoned in that that's not even a thought? Surely there has to be a thought.
I think you're lying if you say you don't think about it because, you know, depending on the injury, you know, you've had such a long rehab to get back. So I think it's more about, getting through that first game, and then when you step off the field, that sort of that feeling of being grateful that you're healthy again is what you look forward to. So that's sort of a little bit of a motivation to get through the game, and you just got to trust that everything you did up until that point has worked. And if you do that, then you're not going to be hesitating when you do anything. You're not going to go chasing for, a big shot to try and prove that you still got it, or, your shoulder's sweet or anything really. So you just got to trust that everything you've done has worked, and then be grateful after that you're healthy again, because, all you have to do is get through those first, few involvements, and you should be sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. It's never really been in the back of my mind, I guess. Like when I've come back from this one, might be a bit different with my knee, but yeah, sort of what Blake said. You just gotta, I guess, trust you've done the work, and it's always nice to get through that first game, and then you probably forget about it after that first game, I guess.
Well, it must be a relief, once you get in the changing rooms and you crack open a cold one and you go, fuck, okay, we got through one. And now we're on to the next. That must be a good feeling, right?
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah. I sort of want to touch on. So I'm taking over this.
No. This is what we do this for.
I'm taking over all the questions.
No, this is what it is. This is what we do. We're a team now.
You play league. Would you ever switch? Would you ever go over to Union?
I'd be lying if I hadn't thought about it. I think there's definitely been a dream to play together with me and Blake, and that would be the main factor if I was to do it. And I don't think I could see him coming over the league.
Why not?
So,
well, what's wrong with Schoupp to not make it in league?
We might have to get him on the shred first.
Come on, man.
But yeah,
no, get your Boyovich about me.
Down the track, there's probably that aspiration to do that and to play with Blake. But at the moment, I'm just happy with what I'm doing, and if the opportunity comes up, it's definitely something that I'd think about. Yeah.
And what position would you play if you were going back into Union? Second five centre.
Yeah, I'd probably think I'd play inside centre. Yeah.
What would I be in league?
In league?
Yeah.
You'll be running on the.
Probably if I swap the number 1 for number 10, I reckon.
You'll be running on the water and doing your thing, mate. You wanted to be a teacher. You might be a coach one day.
Yeah, maybe. Not a league coach.
Big tackle bag.
Big tackle bag. Yeah, we could make use of you.
Yeah.
And what are your sort of future goals in rugby league? What do you sort of want to do over the next, let's say, couple of years? Let's put aside the injury factor. What are you sort of hoping to achieve over the next couple of years?
Obviously, you've always got those aspirations, play rep footy and stuff like that. But for me personally, I just want to enjoy my footy. Yeah, just be happy with what I'm doing and be content. And there's probably more goals off the field. Yeah, we'll probably have more kids and have a healthy, happy family that can watch their dad play football. It's probably the dream for me. Yeah.
Who's the hardest opponent you face in the NRL?
Hardest one I've faced.
I
went 1-on-1 with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, which was pretty hard.
Oh yeah, that would have been tough.
Footwork were pretty scary. But
yeah. Would he be the best player that you've played up against, or who's the best player in the NRL that you think and has been hard to play?
I probably can't go past James Tedesco.
Oh yeah. He's a fullback for the Roosters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He just won Dally M, didn't he?
Yep.
Dally M
yeah.
again for
Kiwis.
the third or fourth. Yeah, sorry.
Accents.
Third or fourth time he's won Dally M, eh?
I think that was his second
time.
Yeah. But every year he's always in top 5 every year. So.
Jeez. What about you, Schoupp? Who's the hardest opponent you've ever faced? Super Rugby or at international level?
That's a great question. It's always hard versus those Kiwi teams. They're just, such good athletes, and they play the game so well.
Kiwis are good Union players, yeah, they are.
Yeah, all right, calm down, man. I think playing my debut against France was pretty special. Like, there's some pretty good players in that team, like Antoine Dupont.
Did you try to tackle him?
No, I think he was off by the time I got on, right. So I didn't actually get to verse him. I shook his hand though, which was cool.
Get a selfie after the game?
No. But no, yeah, it's there's some big boys out there.
What is the best piece of advice you guys have ever received in your career? Sorry, left field question, but I think it's a good one to ask.
I remember my first preseason camp when I came down here. We were what did we do? We did a bit of training and then we had like a bit of a social together. But before that, we had to split off into groups and talk about just some some personal stuff. And I remember chatting to Nick White, and he told us, because he was the leader in that group, a few young boys, and he was the leader driving it. I remember he said, the best piece of advice that he got that he thinks is relevant for everyone is, don't focus too much on every single aspect of your game as such. Pick one thing and be world class at it, and then everything else will sort of follow. So for me, it's all about set piece, right? And then, obviously everything else you work on, but that's your sole focus. For him, it was his game control and his passing, right? So I think that stuck with me the whole way through is not to sort of, you don't have to be the best at absolutely everything, but, pick one thing that you want to be world class at and go for it.
One piece of advice. I'm not too sure. I do like the saying that if it was easy, everyone would do it. And that's sort of just around blocking out the noise from outside in, and the people that probably want to type all the things and say stuff about you, but they haven't done it. So I think, or the one where I can't remember word for word what it is about. Keep your head where your 2 feet are. Don't look too far ahead. On that one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know if I said it right, but
No. I get where you're coming from. That's cool. And a question for both of you. What's the best quality of your brother?
Oh,
we're getting deep here, but this is good because you boys are quite connected in your connected family. So it'd be good to know.
I'll go first.
You can go first, man.
you don't have to put your hand up here.
I'd probably say Blake's loyalty. I think whether I've seen it firsthand with his friends or with our family or with me in general, Blake's probably one of the most genuine, loyal people you can meet, and it's probably the best quality you can have in a brother or in this case, as a teammate. I think they're the type of people that you want to play with, ones that are loyal and won't turn their back on you when things are tough. So, I think Blake's loyalty probably speaks for itself. Yeah.
Damn.
That's tough to beat. That's tough to beat right there.
I want to go first.
Yeah. Okay. How do you follow that? No, I would say all the way through growing up, I've always admired Aaron's confidence. He's got a lot of confidence in himself and his own ability and everything that he does. And I think I've taken a lot from that. Going from where I was to where I am now. You can always learn from other people. And I think Aaron's confidence has got him to where he is today because he believes in himself and his ability in everything. He's a great father, a great brother, and a great son to our parents. And that's because, he's got great confidence in everything that he does.
I like it. How are we doing for time? Are we? Yeah.
Producer Gaz.
Yeah, producer Gaz at the back. He's taking up.
First
like
time behind
45
the camera,
minutes
Gaz.
through? 45 minutes, 50 minutes through? Yeah, okay. Well, we could...
48,
Yeah, okay.
48.
We could probably wrap
48.
it up. I got one last question. What's the best thing, Aaron, about Super Rugby? And what, for you, Schoupp, what's the best thing about NRL?
Damn.
When you're watching it or anything like that, what do you think is the best thing about each of those products? Because a lot of people especially a lot of people in Australia will say that League is a far better product than Rugby Union or Super Rugby for fact. I see a lot of comments like, oh, Rugby Union's boring and all that sort of stuff, but some other people find League, just as boring. So what do you think is the best thing about each product?
I think the international game in Union, it's just, I don't think you can beat it. I think the opportunity you have to travel the world and the people you get to meet and just watching those international games off, every single one of them is a good game to watch. And I think in League we only have about maybe 6 good international teams. And yeah, like I really enjoy watching, because we're Scottish, I really enjoy watching Southern Hemisphere teams play and stuff like that. And I think globally it's probably, it's quite entertaining to see.
Damn.
You got to say something nice now.
Yeah. I think the thing with rugby league is they have such a great fan base and great culture around it, where everyone is so invested, in their teams. They obviously have more teams than us, which is not our fault. But you look at the competition every year; it grows and grows and grows, and that's down to the way they market their game, the knowledge that all of the people that work for the NRL have. So I think rugby is on the up, but rugby league just has this like monstrosity of a plan and all that, to the point where everyone backs it. You look at all the teams, their fan base, they're just so invested, and you go to a game and you look at all the history and the culture behind their teams, and that's something that I think rugby union can improve on and will improve on. You look at the product of Super Rugby this year compared to previous years, it's definitely on the up. But NRL are really taking strides to being a really well-renowned organisation.
Lovely. That's all from me. Have you got any questions for you, brother?
No, pretty good, man. We've been hanging out for the last 3 days, so we're pretty good.
Are you sick of each other now?
No, he's probably sad I'm going home.
Oh, yeah. That's really why you're heading back up north, eh?
Yeah, straight back up Sydney.
Yeah, yeah.
It's too cold down here.
Mate, it's cold, and that's coming from a Kiwi in a cold place.
I rang him and I said, "What's the weather like? Do I need a jumper, hoodie and that?" And he's like, "Nah, you'll be fine. It's warm down here."
To be fair, it did rain and it has been quite cold compared to what it was last week, but it's still nice. It's beautiful. Beautiful Canberra. Great place.
Sweet. Well, that's it. Mate, it's been awesome.
Damn, first one. That was fun, Con.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
All right, well, thanks, Aaron. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having me on.
Shout out to
you.
Manly Seagulls for allowing Aaron to come down.
Yeah, shout out to Manly.
KC and JC, shout out.
Manly's my favourite NRL team now.
Yeah. There you go. All right, that's a wrap. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Cheers.